Hello everyone, welcome to Precision Machinery Tech Tips. I'm Josh. So today we're in one of our inspection rooms. This is an air-conditioned, temperature-controlled, clean room that we have. And this is a measuring machine, and what it does, it inspects each and every guide that we manufacture, then provides a serialized report so we know exactly what's going on. Now you probably don't have one of these in your mill. And so in that situation, how do you check your guides? How do you inspect new guides when they come in to ensure they're to your tolerance? How do you check if a guide's damaged? Let's head over to our learning center and I'll show you what we recommend. All right, so we're in the mill. We want to check this guide. Maybe it's a brand new guide that I just got in, but I'm still going to check it because I'm going to hold my vendor accountable. I'm going to make sure that his tolerance is the tolerance I expect at the mill. I'm going to check that maybe it's a guide that has some wear on it. Or maybe it's been in service for a long time and I want to know if it has wear. Sometimes wear isn't visible, and especially at the tolerances we're working at. Maybe it's been in a bad crash and I just want to know if it's still straight. The areas I'm going to check the clamp surface or the heel, and I'm going to check the body, the area where the babbitt mounts. This surface right here, I want that surface to be within plus or minus 2.5 ten-thousandths of an inch. And I'm going to check it first with a dial indicator using this granite block for flatness and straightness. And then I'm going to use my micrometer and I'm going to check it for parallelism. Just because two surfaces are parallel doesn't always mean that they're flat. After that, I'm going to check my body and make sure that it's not too far out of alignment with this clamping surface. I want it to be within plus or minus 2 thou. Now I've got some tolerance allowance here because the babbitt will take up some space, or some deviation I should say. What else do I have other than a micrometer? I got these dial indicators here. So I've got two different dials. I've got a 1 thou and I've got a 1/10,000th dial. For this particular inspection, I'm going to use my 1/10,000th of an inch. That's 4 decimal places, 0.0001 it can measure to. You probably have a 1 thou in your mill. Doesn't hurt to get one of these more accurate dials. Be aware they're a little trickier to use. So I've got a basic magnetic base here, and underneath it I've got this block, and it's called a 1-2-3 block, a gauge block. And the reason I put that under the magnetic base, it's a nice flat surface, and when I move it around on my granite block, this magnetic base won't scratch granite. Granite, even though it's stone, can wear over time. You rub on it enough times with something sharp, and you'll actually put a gouge in it or start to damage the surface, and it won't be as accurate as you need. We find 2 or 3 of these that are wore out every year. I check all the connections on my dial indicator, make sure that everything is nice and tight, there aren't any broken pieces, nothing that can cause movement that I don't expect. Another thing to check for, these dial indicators all have a tip, and that tip can be removed. It's a threaded end to the end. If the tip is loose, while you're moving it around, that tip can move in, it can thread and unthread, and it can give you false readings. So let's make sure those tips are nice and tight. Some granite blocks have a threaded rod in them, or a spot that you can put a threaded rod to help you clamp your guide down when you're inspecting it. For the purpose of this presentation, we've taken it out because I know a lot of mills don't have a threaded hole in their granite. I want to show you that this can still work. So let's check this guide over. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure my granite surface plate is clean. Now I've already just cleaned this prior to our shot. We use an actual granite cleaner for this, and a lint-free rag. Give it a quick spray down with your granite cleaner, and then just wipe it down. Don't have a lint-free rag handy? Well, a lot of us don't. Little trick here, if your hand's nice and clean, it is a lint-free tool. You can just give that a wipe down, and you'll feel if there's any debris or impregnated babbitt, things like that that you need to get off of this block. So I'm going to set my guide on this granite surface carefully. It's nice and clean. I'm going to just hold it down with my finger like that. I don't feel any movement. I'm going to take my 1-2-3 block that is also clean, and I'm going to set this on the guide here in a spot where I can get to it and see it. A little awkward because I'm turning this around for you. I'm going to zero this dial out. Now again, each one of these graduations is a 4th decimal place, 1/10,000th of an inch. So you can see when I move this guide, even when I move the indicator, just the direction of movement and the force on this plunger can give me variations in reading. So I have to take that into account. I want to always try to travel in the same direction as much as possible, or note if I've changed directions that my indicator has changed. So I've got my dial zeroed out on the guide. Now I'm simply going to move it around this clamp surface, and I'm going to watch that dial indicator and take note of how much movement I have. So we can see the clamp surface is just slightly out of tolerance. Once I've gone to the extent of the clamping area, I'll go back to where I started and make sure that my reading hasn't changed. I'm going to take a quick check on the body where the pad mounts to make sure it's nice and flat. This one you can see it's actually within a couple of 10,000ths. No problems there. So now that we've checked our guide for flatness, we're going to check into our guide for thickness. So what should this size be on this guide? Well, the heel size of your guide is a function of your net cut or lumber target and your saw kerf. Lumber target minus kerf gives you this size right here, heel size. Let's check it. So I'm going to take my micrometer. As I mentioned, it's already been calibrated. And right now, on this guide here, I have a measurement of 1.8397, which happens to be the correct size for this particular guide. Now I want to compare, I want to check multiple points around this surface to make sure that I don't have thin spots or thick spots. This particular micrometer has a handy little function for comparing this sort of thing. I know I'm on size, now I just want to know what my plus minus is, or my tolerance. I'm just going to set this for an incremental setting, so it'll read 0. It's easier for me to see. And now I'm going to check multiple points. There it's 1/10 under. Two tenths. One tenth again under. Right on size. I'll just check one more spot up here. Again, 1/10 under. So my guide, thickness-wise, passes my inspection. All right, so we've inspected our guide, and it didn't pass our inspection. It's not to tolerance. Incidentally, that's why this guide is still here with me. It didn't pass our final inspection here either. Remember, when you're measuring, you want a full picture of what this guide looks like, so you've got to measure multiple points around these surfaces. Also remember to keep your tools in good condition. The closer this guide is to your tolerance, the more accurate your lumber is going to be. This has been Tech Tips. I'm Josh. Remember, accuracy isn't just an action, it's an attitude. And if you're going to have precision results, you've got to have precision machinery.